Shalom, and welcome to Psychology of the Parsha for Parshat Mishpatim. Parshat Mishpatim is a phenomenal Parsha. It is full of so many different laws, primarily laws that pertain to what we call Bein Adam Lechaviro, between man and man. And then there are also some other laws, very few, albeit, but laws that pertain to Bein Adam Lamakom, between our relationship to Hashem. Even those, however, have phenomenal perspective on how we're supposed to live our lives day to day and attitude. I want to just focus in on one. In chapter 22, verse 30, it says, "You shall be men of holiness to me. You must not eat flesh that was torn off in the field," meaning terefa, flesh of an injured animal, even though it was slaughtered properly, but it wasn't able to live that way, and therefore it's considered to be sick and it's not kosher. Rather, what does it say? Throw it to the dog. Maybe that's where the expression is, to throw something to the dogs. But this is actually a very positive thing. The Torah tells us, if it's treif, throw it to the dog. Now the reason for it is, and that's a separate topic in itself, and something that's worth discussing, because this is the dog's reward for not having barked at the Jews, not having scared the Jews when they all left Egypt. It's not the nature of a dog to just stand by quietly, even if it's not ready to attack, just because it's excited. Seeing movement of several million people, and all the dogs in Egypt just stood there. And I've actually read a medrash that it says that they actually were barking at the Egyptians, but not at the Jews. So Hashem says, give him the reward. But I want to focus in on something more psychological about the beginning of this verse. If you think about it, what's the connection between being holy and throwing the meat to the dog? Perhaps, just my own thought, when we think about being holy, what do we think about? Holiness, we know, means to be separate, to be different. Or if you think in terms of holiness, religious, you think about being strict, being stringent, isolating yourself, being more, being better, being closer to Hashem. Unfortunately, too often people who really have good intention of getting close to Hashem, of being holy, they become strict, but they become strict in a manner that is not approved by Hashem himself. Perhaps even sometimes it becomes deplorable, in a despicable way, and it's even hurtful, not only to others, who perhaps would anyway be intolerant to religion, but even for people who are religious, people who are on board and perhaps more or less of the same mindset. Suddenly they feel distant and they feel pushed away. And they feel, in other words, it's too much. So to give you a perspective, to say the story, that, in yesteryear, many Jews lived in villages, little villages. And the butcher of this particular village, that he would service meat to all the surrounding villages, he had a shochet, a ritual slaughter, who would come and slaughter the cows, slaughter the chickens, slaughter the ducks. Anytime that a question, a shaila arose, if the lung didn't look healthy, if there was something wrong with the chicken, a broken leg, a broken wing, it could be very problematic. It could be not kosher, it could be kosher. It's, only a rabbi can determine that, somebody who's well versed. He would take the problematic meat with him, the animals, load them up on his wagon and drive into the city, come to the rabbi. The rabbi would inspect and tell him, this is kosher, this is not, this is okay, this is not. And then always he left the rabbi a tip. You come, the rabbi spent his time, and naturally the rabbi, especially in those days, rabbis would get paid very, very little. The rabbi looked forward to this. It became a thing where, when he comes that once or twice a week, he can do Shabbos, he can make Shabbos. He has enough money to make Shabbos. He gets, a nice little tip, and with that he can buy food for Shabbos. And this went on for many years. One day, a week passes, 2 weeks pass, 3 weeks pass, and the guy hasn't showed up. The guy hasn't showed up. First, the rabbi thinks perhaps maybe all the animals were good. Maybe there wasn't such high demand for meat. But a month, 2, 3 months pass, and one day, after not having shown up for 3 months, the guy comes to the rabbi like good old times, like nothing ever happened, and he has a question on the meat and this. The rabbi inspects it and tells him, this chicken's kosher, this one's not, this one the wing is broken in a way that's not kosher, it punctured along, so on. Then the rabbi says to him, he says, could I ask you a question? He says, sure. He says, I'm very curious. You've been coming to me for years. But you guys didn't eat meat in the last 3 months? Is there a rabbi in the vicinity here that I don't know about? I'm the only rabbi. What happened? He says, no, Rabbi, I stopped coming because of you. Because of me? Did I do anything wrong? He says, no. 3 months ago, I came and I happened to come a little earlier, so I heard you giving a class. And you were teaching the people, and you read to them this verse that said that if the meat is not kosher, you throw it to the dog. So I thought to myself, 1 second, the rabbi says that the dog knows if the meat's not kosher. So why am I schlepping all the way out here? It's costing me time and then money. I have to pay the rabbi. I have a nice big dog, and you know something? He deserves also a little piece of meat. So let's do this. If anyway I'm taking a loss, every time the meat was questionable, the shochet said, hey, this needs to go to the rabbi, I would cut off a piece of meat from that animal and throw it to the dog. And if he took it and he decided to eat it, I knew the whole animal's not kosher, he got the whole thing. If he didn't, I knew obviously that the rabbi said the dog knows how to determine if it's kosher or not. Then I would say kosher, and I said, what I need to go to the rabbi for? Waste my time and money. So the rabbi looks at him and says, so what changed? What happened? Oh, my dog became very strict. He takes all the meat. He said, I'd rather come to the rabbi. So the people become very strict, and overly strict. They may as well be a dog. You understand? In other words, it's not a virtue to become so strict that one becomes obnoxious. Strict means that you are still a polite, a pleasant person. You want to be strict for yourself, not in a manner that hurts others. Shalom.